Hi, Dr. Gardner. Today we are going to present about our creative project of Mind Maze, and this is presented by
Sophia,
Zoe,
and Justin.
So next, I'm going to talk about our creative project's concepts and issues. So our idea of creative project is an interactive film, which viewers can control the characters in the film and make choice. Different options will lead to different endings. The idea of media control is inspired by Hall's concept of encoding and decoding. The protagonist worked for a media company run by government and was assigned to write newspapers. He framed his words to encode the message of the dominant ideology and reinforce the concepts of gaps between the different societal class. We also want to engage in transmedia storytelling, so we can create the comic book and the media platforms of this film, and also we'll cooperate some fan works with the film. So next, I'm going to introduce about the main setting in the story world. The setting of this story world is pretty similar to 1984. So people are manipulated by the government using the media institutions that Hughes is working for. The government creates concrete lies to convince people of the dominant ideology in their interest. A program of mind control chip is launched, aiming for more restricted space for communication and restricting free mind. So next is about Justin talking about the characters.
So there will be three major characters in this mind maze. The first one being Hughes. The trait, he has several traits. He's very skeptical, he's introspective, and he's hesitant but resourceful when pushing to act changes and rebellions. So a little background about him is that Hughes was started as a compliant cog in the Apex regime propaganda machine. He was basically doing the video editing, and that meant to glorify the government's action. And also his suppressed memory, however, his suppressed memory resurfaced during his work and revealing the regime's atrocity, like the army's atrocities, and his unwitting role in covering them. So despite his reluctance and self-doubt during this process, Hughes became a vital part of this rebellion, and using his insider knowledge, he became a very great resource and valuable asset to fight back the regime. Next, we have Coral, another major character. He's very charismatic, determined, and has a very strong sense of justice. His background is that he has been a rebel since his parent was brutally killed by the regime's brutal crackdown. And leading a secretive underground movement, he's driven by a personal vendetta and a broader mission to dismantle the regime's grip on people's mind. He's very determined, and Coral's base is a post-Cold War Soviet-style urban wasteland, and that is basically a reflection of his gritty resolve. And finally, we have Hank. This is a very strategic, empathetic, but morally conflicted, while it's very decisive when it's necessary. So he's a high-ranking government official, and he knows the truth about the regime's corruption, but he has been remained silent for a long time. His growth guilt pushes him to secretly aid the rebellion by leaking classified information, and eventually join them during the rebellion. His insider knowledge and access made him a very valuable asset, though his loyalty was kind of wavering and constantly being tested. And next, Sophia will talk about some different acts.
So I'm going to talk about the acts for our amendments. So the story is told in 4 acts and showing the fight for truth against media control. So we can see there are 4 subtitles. The Act 1 is Awakening, and Act 2 Aliens, and Act 3 Risk and Sacrifice, and Act 4 for Liberation and Aftermath. So basically, in Act 1, the crack in the regime's propaganda appear footage inconsistency bring back suppressed memories. And the reading that we've read from Starhawk's idea of media sending messages to keep people under control is clear here, but these cracks reveal deeper problem. And the Act 2 focused more on the power of working together as hidden truths leading to rebellion. And the reading we read for Harry Jenkins' idea of people joining forces to fight back fits this Act 2, and showing how teamwork can challenge powerful systems, like Christine explained about the Cosby Show. So media can both support and challenge system powers, and depending on how it's built. And in Act 3, the story shows personal sacrifice and the tension between doing what is right and the pressures of the system. And Starhawk's ideas of negotiating ratings fit here, where people partly agree and partly resist the messages they're given. And this act reminds us of struggles in Mad Men, where characters deal with powerful systems while trying to stay true to themselves. And finally, which is our last act, Act 4, shows the memory chip system being destroyed and creating chaos as people recover their erased past. And this reflects Hall's idea in the reading of rejecting dominant messages, which is freeing but also difficult. And it's also tied to Jenkins' idea of working together to rebuild society after breaking free from control. And so through our overall acts, Mind Maze explore how media shapes people's views and showing the strengths of resisting manipulation together. And so why is this storyline? So I will discover this from four aspects. First is power and resistance, and second, emotional connection. Third, building tension, and the last one, critical theories. So we structured Mind Maze to the fight against media control and how it shapes truth and identity. And the story draws an idea like Starhawk's encoding and decoding, showing how powerful systems use media to control people. And what makes it relatable are the character struggles and deciding whether to stay complicit, make sacrifice, or fight back. So each act builds naturally from discovering cracks in the system to full rebellion, keeping things tense and exciting. And inspired by Jenkins' participatory culture, it also highlights how working together can challenge oppression. And in the end, it's not just a story, but it's a call to question, resist, and to build. And next, we will talk about aesthetic inspiration.
So now I'm going to talk about aesthetic inspirations in this project. The costume design in Mind Maze is inspired by John Galliano's Paris fashion show of a tribute to Chaplin era. His fashion notion is a combination between fantasy and reality. The changes in Hugh's style from traditional suits of fashion suits to fashion suits shows his psychological change from a dominant position more to a rebellion. And more we can see from this picture is that we create some of the comic of his childhood trauma of relating about death and restrictions, which gives like some hints about what are going to happen next. And next I'm going to talk about the poster and printing. For the poster design in this film, we're inspired by the art style of Leyendecker. So his style is in the early 20th century high social class with the luxury life. We also want to create an aesthetic vibe similar to Disco Elysium to attract not only film fans but also people interested in art, to give this fan community more interpretations, and we want to reach out for more viewers. The setting of Hugh's office we mimic is the setting of the Mad Men, which shows a crowded and depressed working era, indicating that everyone has been restricted in this place for the other upper class characters, we're inspired by Rococo style. It's delicate and complex, but we often say there are many useless decorations. It shows when people in poverty is struggling, the upper class doesn't care as long as the dominant ideology presents. And those are some illustrations by we got flashbacks in Hugh's memories of colorways in Jackson's Paul Walker's art style's illusion, showing the disruptive reflection of the character's psychological style, bringing the viewers more into the stage of the character. So this is about our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.